What happens when the WNBA's most valuable player gets hurt for the 20th time in a single season and finally decides she's had enough of staying quiet? Caitlin Clark just dropped a truth bomb that has league executives scrambling and fans demanding answers. The Indiana Fever superstar sat down with Sue Bird for an explosive interview that revealed something the league desperately wanted to keep hidden. And trust me, what she said about the refs is going to change everything. Before we dive into this shocking revelation, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're about to expose what's really happening behind closed doors in the WNBA. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about a 23-year-old who's carrying an entire league on her back while getting targeted night after night. Here's what nobody's talking about. Clark has missed 20 games this season. 20. Let that sink in for a moment. This is someone who never missed a single game in 4 years of college basketball. Not one. Now she's spending more time in the training room than on the court. And the reason why will make your blood boil. The most recent injury happened on July 15th against the Connecticut Sun. And get this, she's been out ever since. A groin injury that just won't heal. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't her first groin injury this season. It's not even her second. She's dealing with her 4th separate soft tissue injury, and each one tells a darker story about what's really happening on that court. When Clark finally broke her silence with Sue Bird, the emotion in her voice was something we've never heard before. Quote, "I've never been through anything like this." End quote. Those 7 words carried more weight than any statistic ever could. This is Caitlin Clark we're talking about, the player who single-handedly transformed women's basketball, the athlete who fills arenas just by showing up. And she's basically admitting she's broken. But wait, it gets worse. Clark revealed the mental torture of her recovery process. She said, quote, "It's not like I have a training camp to build up to playing my first game again. It's like, no, you're tossed into game 30, like go try to play well, it's hard. It really is," end quote. Can you imagine? You're injured, you fight to come back, and then you're thrown into the middle of a season with 0 preparation. That's not recovery. That's a recipe for disaster. The stop-and-go nature of her injuries has become the most agonizing part. She plays 4 games, feels great, puts up incredible numbers, then boom, another injury. It's like watching someone try to run a marathon with their shoelaces tied together. Every time she builds momentum, something pulls her back down. Now, here's where things get spicy. During that same interview with Sue Bird, Clark decided to take aim at the real problem. When Bird mentioned seeing Clark coaching from the sidelines, Clark's response was ice cold. She said she was actually coaching the refs, not her teammates. Then she dropped this bombshell. Quote, "I would make a really good ref. I wouldn't miss a call," end quote. Oh snap. Did she just call out the entire officiating crew? You bet she did. And this wasn't some throwaway comment. Clark has been watching from the sidelines, studying every play, every call, every missed foul. She knows exactly what's happening out there, and she's done pretending it's okay. The timing of her comment is everything. This came right after multiple coaches got fined for criticizing officials. Stephanie White, Becky Hammon, they've all been speaking out about the excessive physicality that's being allowed. But when Caitlin Clark says it, that hits different. She's not just any player, she's the face of the league. Let me paint you a picture of what Clark has been dealing with. Remember that game against Dallas? The broadcasters literally had to call out the fouls themselves because the refs wouldn't. Rebecca Lobo was on air saying, quote, "There's a grab, there's a hold, there's a grab. Every single one of them is a foul," end quote. That's not normal, that's not basketball, that's something else entirely. Speaking of numbers, let's talk about what happens when Clark doesn't play. Brace yourself for this. The May 17th Sky Fever matchup drew 2.5 million viewers. 2.5 million. But games without Clark, they're averaging closer to 1.5 million on ABC. That's a million viewer drop. A million people who just don't care enough to watch when she's not playing. Ticket prices tell an even crazier story. When Clark got injured before the All-Star game, ticket prices dropped 48% in less than 24 hours. The cheapest ticket went from over $100 to $65. That's not just a dip, that's a crash. The WNBA literally loses half its value when she's sitting on the bench. But here's the kicker. The Fever's record with Clark is 8-5. Without her, 9-9. They become a completely different team. Their offense becomes predictable, their energy drops. It's like watching a concert where the lead singer lost their voice. Now let's address the elephant in the room: the physical targeting. Clark herself admitted that the full-court pressure she faces isn't normal rookie treatment. Teams aren't just trying to stop her from scoring, they're trying to exhaust her, break her down, make her quit. She said the constant pressure was unlike anything she experienced in college. Quote, "It was just constant full court," end quote. What's really going on here? Let me break it down for you. Since opening day, WNBA players have suffered 141 injuries. 141. That's not normal wear and tear. That's what happens when refs let games turn into wrestling matches. And guess who's taking the worst of it? You already know. Clark has been raked across the face, knocked to the floor, grabbed, held and hit in ways that would get you ejected in any other sport. Marina Mabrey literally blindsided her with a shove to the court. No call. JC Sheldon drove a knee into her abdomen. No call. This isn't physical basketball. This is targeted harassment, and the refs are letting it happen. The Washington Post's Sally Jenkins didn't hold back. She said the WNBA should change its logo to a bruise. A bruise. Think about that. The premier women's basketball league in the world is being compared to a bruise because of how violent it's become. Jenkins called the officiating, quote, "chronically lousy and second-rate," end quote. When mainstream media starts calling you out like that, you know it's bad. But wait, there's more. Coaches are literally warning that this excessive physicality causes indirect injuries too. Stephanie White explained it perfectly. When players are constantly getting hammered, they have to move differently, load differently, explode differently. Over time, that unnatural movement pattern leads to soft tissue injuries. Exactly the kind Clark keeps getting. You know what really broke my heart? Clark talked about her mom texting her after the latest injury. Her mother wrote, quote, "You've taken so much time for everybody else. You have to take time for yourself now," end quote. Can you imagine being a parent and watching your daughter get beat up night after night while trying to save a league that won't even protect her? This text hit Clark differently than anything else. For the first time in her career, she's learning that sometimes you have to put yourself first. Sometimes you have to say enough is enough. And that's exactly what she's starting to do. The vulnerability Clark showed in this interview was unprecedented. She admitted feeling confused when the injuries first started. Quote, "I didn't understand it. I was like, am I just getting tight? Am I just getting old? Do I need some icy hot? What's going on here?" End quote. This is someone who's always been in control, always been the best, suddenly not understanding why her body is betraying her. Clark also revealed something that should terrify WNBA executives. She feels a responsibility to play because she knows what happens when she doesn't. Quote, "People spend so much time and money and resources to come watch you play," end quote. She's carrying the weight of an entire league's success on her shoulders while dealing with injuries that would sideline most players permanently. But here's what makes Clark different. Even while injured, she's working harder than ever to connect with fans. She signs autographs for way longer when she's hurt than when she's playing. She goes to every road game even when she can't play. She's literally killing herself to keep this league relevant. The double standard is insane. Sue Bird pointed it out perfectly. When LeBron or Steph Curry get hurt, nobody talks about refunding tickets. Nobody questions whether the NBA will survive. But when Clark gets hurt, suddenly everyone's panicking about the future of women's basketball. You want to know the real joke? WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert said the league is, quote, "on it," end quote, when it comes to fixing officiating. On it? Really? Clark has missed 20 games and counting. How many more does she need to miss before they actually do something? Monty McCutcheon, the head of WNBA officiating, actually said there's, quote, "always going to be noise about officiating that is inaccurate," end quote. Noise? Is that what we're calling career-threatening injuries now? Just noise? This man is watching the league's biggest star get destroyed night after night and calling it noise. Technical fouls are up, flagrant fouls are up, injuries are at an all-time high. But according to the league office, everything's fine. Nothing to see here. Just keep buying tickets and pretending we're not watching the slow-motion destruction of the most important player in women's basketball history. Here's what nobody wants to admit. The WNBA created this problem. They wanted Clark to be the face of the league, but they refused to protect that face. They love the attention she brings, the money she generates, the viewers she attracts. But when it comes to actually keeping her safe, crickets. The pattern is undeniable. Clark gets targeted with excessive physicality. The refs don't call it. She adjusts her movement to avoid contact. That adjustment causes unnatural stress on her body. Her muscles and ligaments can't handle the strain. Boom, another injury. Rinse and repeat until there's nothing left. And the worst part? Clark knows exactly what's happening. She's not stupid. She watches film, she studies the game, she sees the holds, the grabs, the cheap shots that go uncalled. That's why her comment about being a better ref than the actual refs wasn't a joke. It was a declaration of war. The league is at a crossroads right now. They can either fix this officiating crisis or watch their golden goose get cooked. And make no mistake, Clark is the golden goose. Without her, the WNBA goes back to being a niche sport that most people ignore. With her, it's must-see TV. Clark's teammates see it too. Lexi Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, they've all stepped up while she's been out, but they know the truth. The Fever without Clark is like the Bulls without Jordan. Sure, they can compete, but they're not winning championships. The All-Star Game was supposed to be Clark's crowning moment, playing in Indianapolis in front of her home crowd as team captain. Instead, she watched from the sidelines in street clothes, another casualty of the WNBA's refusal to protect its players. You know what's crazy? Clark still hasn't given up hope. She talked about being thankful for this experience because it's teaching her about her body. Quote, "Whether it's this year or next year, I'm going to be very thankful for this moment." End quote. That's not just optimism. That's the mindset of a champion who refuses to let them win. But how much more can she take? How many more injuries before something breaks permanently? How many more games does she need to miss before the league realizes they're destroying their own product? The clock is ticking. Every game Clark misses is money lost. Viewers gone, momentum killed. The WNBA had lightning in a bottle with Clark, and they're letting it slip through their fingers because they won't tell their refs to call a fair game. Here's my prediction. Something's going to give. Either the league steps up and protects its players, or Clark's body gives out completely. And if that happens, if Caitlin Clark's career gets cut short because the WNBA couldn't be bothered to call obvious fouls, it won't just be a tragedy. It'll be the beginning of the end for women's professional basketball in America. The irony is perfect. The player who saved the WNBA might be the same player whose destruction kills it. All because some refs can't admit they're missing calls and a commissioner won't admit there's a problem. Clark's story isn't over yet. She'll be back. She always comes back. But each return gets harder. Each injury takes longer to heal. Each game becomes more dangerous. The question isn't if she'll play again. It's whether the league will still be worth saving when she does. If you think the WNBA needs to step up and protect its players, smash that like button right now. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell because we're going to keep exposing what's really happening in women's basketball. The truth needs to be told, and we're not stopping until things change. Comment below and tell us what you think should happen to fix this mess. Should the refs be replaced? Should the commissioner step down? Let us know. This is bigger than basketball now. This is about the future of women's sports.